Okay, now yesterday's lesson we found out which one point worked for x and y in both equations by graphing. However, we don't always have to graph. Matter of fact, graphing's the worst way to do it. This is a method known as substitution. Here's the method for substitution. Your goal: solve for x, solve for y. You might solve for x first sometimes, you might solve for y first some of the time. But you got to, at the end, get an answer for x, answer for y. Here is today's method. Circle each equals. That's number 1, that's number 2. Which equation has a letter that's all by itself? I think it's number 2. Here's what you need to do. You need to put a box around that letter and then circle the entire expression on the other side. You guys have got to follow directions with this. There's a couple of you, especially in the afternoon class, who don't follow directions. You don't listen, so as a result, you get the problems wrong. You have no idea what you're doing most of the time. Okay. All right, so here's what you do now. Over here, copy down the other equation that I did not box and circle. So negative 5x plus 3y equals 51. Now, here's what you need to do. What's the letter that was all by itself? It was y. So you need to circle y and replace y with a blank parentheses. Now, what do you suppose you're going to put in for y? You're going to put in what it equals, 10x minus 8. So you need to widen your parentheses and put that entire expression in, 10x minus 8. Now, here's what that benefits, okay? Here's the benefit of that. Now, you have an equation that has the same variable, x and x. So I plus negative 8, drop the equal sign. Rainbows. So I have 30x. 30 times negative 8 is negative 24. And then I also have the negative 5x. Okay, that's all on that side. Then 51. Okay, now the x's are on the same side, so don't plus 5 plus 5. That's a trick when they're on opposite sides. You just simply go like this. 30 plus negative 5 is 25. So that's going to be 25x plus negative 24 equals 51. Okay, so I plus 24 plus 24. So 25x equals 75. Divide by 25, x equals 3. So 3 is our x. Now, how do you get y? Y is really easy to find. Go in that bubble, okay? In that bubble, we don't need x there anymore because I know x equals 3, okay? So I simply am going to take 10 times 3 minus 8, 22. Now you're like, gee, that kind of sucks. Well, you only get better by practicing. It's that simple. Okay, next one. We're solving for x and we're solving for y. So, which equation, 1 or 2, has a letter all by itself? It's number 1. So I need to box that letter and circle the other side. It's called your box bubble. Now write the other equation here. 3x plus 1y equals 10. Now I put the 1y there because when I write this equation, both variables want to be covered. Just trust me on this. You need to make sure both the x and y are covered, because otherwise you're going to get really confused if you don't cover them. So some of you won't cover them and then you'll be lost. Well, because you didn't listen. You didn't cover them. Okay, so which letter's in the box? It's y. So we circle y. So I replace that with a blank parentheses. And in there I'm going to put 2 times 2x plus 5. So I'm going to need to widen that. so I can fit the whole 2x plus 5 expression. So here's my rainbows. So 1 times 2x is 2x. 1 times 5 is 5. And then I've still got the 3x there. 10. As you can see, the x's are on the same side, so I should not see you going underneath and trying to minus, minus, plus, plus. That's a trick for when they're on opposite sides. You just plus them. 5x plus 5, and then 10. Okay, so I minus 5, so 5x equals 5, and then I divide by 5, and that's 1. So that's your x. X equals 1. Now all you do is solve for y is easy, okay? Here the y is by itself, so I don't need x in there anymore. I just put the 1 in. Now what's 2 times 1? It's 2, and then plus 5, 7. So y equals 7. Okay, next problem. X equals 6 minus 4y. That's equation number 1. That's a system in the system. That's number 2. So there's x and y. This time, which has an isolated variable all by itself? Well, number 1. Okay, there's the x. So box it and bubble the other side. Make that plus -2. Now, copy down the other equation over here. You just simply copy it. 2x minus 3y equals 1. Make that 3 plus negative. Okay? Now, what's the letter you have in the box? It's x, so we need to be circling the x. So 2 parentheses plus -3y equals 1. So put your 2 and then widen your parentheses because you need to fit that whole expression in there because that's what x equals, so you're going to put that in there. So I will be putting in 6 plus -4y. Rainbows, drop the dang equals. It's 12 plus -8y. I've also got a plus -3y equals 1. Okay, so I box my variables. They're the same. They should be the same. If you have an x and a y, you did it wrong. Okay? I can't stress that enough. You get x and y, you did it wrong. So I add them. -8, -3 is -11y. And then plus a 12 equals 1. Minus 12 minus 12. So -11y. 1 minus 12 is -11. And then I divide by -11, and y equals 1. Okay, so it's y that's 1 though, not x. So to solve for x, we put a 1 there. So it's 6 plus -4 times 1. I'm guessing that answers 2. Let's see if the calculator agrees. Yep, 2. Cross that out. Don't do that one. Actually, I'll tell you what. Yeah, it's fun. Obviously, we can't solve that one. Okay, now let's look at this one. Solving for x, solving for y. Okay, here's number 1, here's number 2. Now, which has a letter by itself? They both do, so just pick one. Let's go with the top one. If that happens, go with the top one. So copy down the other one. Y equals 2x minus 8. Okay, I need to cover the y and make that plus negative. So x is the box, so that's going to be what we circle. Now replace it with a parentheses, blank. And we're going to be putting 3y plus 9. So I need to widen it so I can fit 3y plus 9. Okay. Now, 1y, drop it. And then we multiply over here. So what we have 6y plus 18 plus negative 8. Now you can add, now you look at your y's, but you can't just add them now. They're on opposite sides. Here's my equals, okay? So I'm minus 6y minus 6y. So that's going to be negative 5y. And then over here, these are on the same side, so we can just add those. That's going to be 10. So I divide by negative 5. That's going to be negative 2. So y equals negative 2. Okay, so I'm going to put 3 times negative 2 plus 9 is 3. Okay. All you got to do is put it in that bubble, replace it, because y equals negative 2. So x equals 3 times y plus 9. Well, if I know y is negative 2, plug it in. Okay, next up, we are not doing the next one. Okay, so next one, number 1, number 2. Here's the isolated variable. Circle the other side. Now copy down the other one. 5x minus 2y equals negative 35. Okay, both variables are covered. That will need to be plus negative 2. So it's the y in the box, so it's the y that we circle. So 5x plus negative 2 parentheses equals negative 35. So I need to extend that. And now I put in the 6, I can fit in the 6x plus 35. X. Now it's time to solve for x. Rainbows. Negative 2 times 6x, negative 12x. Negative 2 times 35 is negative 70. And then we also don't forget about the 5x we had. And then negative 35. Okay, so box your x's. They're on the same side. Just add them. Don't do anything under it. Negative 12 plus 5 is negative 7. So negative 7x. We also got a negative 70, negative 35. So I plus 70, negative 7x. Negative 35 plus 70 is 35. And then we divide. Negative 5. So I'm able to put negative 5 in for x. So y equals 6 times negative 5 plus 35. 5. Okay. Negative 5 and positive 5. Tell you what, I'm going to do the rest of the problems with you, because this is kind of hard. Okay, you just only get better with repetition. X and y. Okay, so equation 1 has the isolated variable. So I circle the other side. Okay. So I write 3x plus 4y equals 8. So it's the x that needs to be circled. Okay, and then we extend that because I need to put more than just one term in there. I need to put the entire 16 minus 4y. Okay, that needs to be plus negative though. Okay, let's see some rainbows. It's going to be 48 plus negative 12y plus 4y, then 8. Okay, so look at your y's. You got y's. The letters at least match. They're on the same side, so you plus them. Negative 12 plus 4 is negative 8. So it's negative 8y plus 48 and then 8. Okay, so I'm minus 48. I'm minus 48. So it's negative 40, then negative 8y. And I divide by negative 8, and y is equal to 5. Now it's y that equals 5, so you put that in there. (16 minus 4) and then times 5 is negative 4. Okay, number 2. Okay, which equation has a letter by itself? It's number 2. The y is by itself. Okay, so negative 5x plus 3y equals 51. Okay. Okay, so I circle the y because that's the letter isolated, because that's the one I'm going to replace. It's like a puzzle you're solving, complicated puzzle. So now extend the parentheses, and now we'll decide what we're going to put in it. We're going to put in 10x minus 8. It's going to be plus negative. Okay, so now I got x and x. I'll solve for x. Okay, so it's going to be 30x plus negative 24 plus the negative 5x equals 51. Okay, so we have matching x numbers, so we need to add those. So 30 plus negative 5 is 25, so 25x plus the negative 24 equals 51. So plus 24 plus 24, 25x. So it's going to be 75 divided by 25 divided by 25. That's 3. So x is 3. Now go put in the 3 for the x. So I take 10 times 3, that's 30. 30 minus 8 is 22. So y equals 22. That's actually the same problem as one we had earlier. Okay, number 3. They both have isolated variables, so we'll just use the first one, okay, and we'll copy down the other one over here. So x equals y minus 3. Those both have to be covered with 1s, okay? That'll be a plus negative 3. So there's the isolated one, so that's the one we're just taking out. So 1x equals 1 parentheses plus negative 3. Okay, now we need to extend that, and we're going to be putting 2x plus 6. It's going to be 2x plus 6 plus a negative 3. And by the way, we're solving for, you got to get both letters solved for. Now this one, here's my equals, but the x's are on opposite sides, so we need to move that 2x out of there. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1x, and I can just add those, dog. 6 and negative 3 is 3, because they're on the same side. If two like terms are on the same side, you just add them, okay? If they're on opposite sides, you got to balance it like that, but divide by negative 1, and that's negative 3. There's your x. Okay, so let's put negative 3 in there. So 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And negative 6 plus 6 is 0. If you go 2 times negative 3 plus 6, 0. Okay, that's okay. Okay, number 4, solving for x, solving for y. So, which has it by itself? Right there and right there. Okay. So 2x minus y equals 11. Okay, you got to cover the y, and also that's plus negative. So x is the isolated guy. So we're going to replace him. Now we extend it. You're like, why are you doing this second thing? So I can just show you, because if I make a big long parentheses right away, people don't get it. I don't know why. It's just weird. So I make a small one with everything else the same, but then I realize, oh, I'm going to have to make that wider so I can fit the entire 2y minus 5. So 4y plus negative 10 plus negative 1y equals 11. Okay, so we box up the y's, and then we add them. 4 and negative 1 is 3y, and then plus negative 10, and then we have 11. Plus 10, plus 10. 11 plus 10 is 21, divided by 3. That's 7, so y is 7, okay? So what I do is I take 2 times 7 minus 5. That's going to be 9. Okay, again, don't stress out if you're like, well, I'm not real good at this. I don't really understand very well. You're going to get better with practice. You just got to trust me on this. If you listen and follow the steps, or at least try, okay, you'll be fine.